Thank you, Mr. Chair. Often, when I or my colleagues ask a question about consent of some versus consent of all, it's taken to mean within the context of industry. But that's not what we mean. We're talking about FPIC within the context of legislative changes and a broad range of social and cultural policy issues as outlined in Article 19. Chief Noski, and thank you for your compelling presentation. You've been critical of the government's consultative process for Bill C-15, and in particular about the leading role that the AFN assumed in the consultative process for that bill. In an APTN interview on April 20th, you stated that the AFN does not speak on behalf of Treaty 8, and I believe that they are not in tune or in touch with a lot of our grassroots people in understanding our sovereign relationships that we have. And that was echoed by Marlene Poitras, the AFN Regional Chief for Alberta. So my question to you is, in the engagement summary provided to us by Justice Canada, it lists Treaty 8 for the Alberta region. Did you feel that those engagement sessions were fulsome and well-resourced? And did you express your concerns about the AFN overstepping by negotiating on behalf during those sessions? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Patterson. From our perspective, and I'll say this too as a question to Carolyn Bennett, Minister of Indigenous Affairs. I'll answer it from that perspective. As the government talked to us about Bill C-15 and about the articles that apply to us as First Nations people, I stopped her in the process and I questioned her. Minister Bennett, Treaty 8 is a sovereign nation that entered into treaty. We're a sovereign people that entered into treaty. So do you ever call the Queen of England and tell her that these are your rights under this article as a government? And that is the point that we were making as sovereign nations that entered into treaty. We are the ones that entered into our people as a territory as a whole of Treaty 8. So in saying that, why would we allow somebody else to speak on our behalf about reclamation or reconciliation, implementation of what the treaty was about? The colonized process is that it derives its regulatory laws, legislation from a doctrine of discovery process that we are not human as people. Everybody seems to forget the Royal Proclamation of 1763, that those Indians owned those lands, make a treaty with them. Our forefathers had the oral history of what the treaty was about. And the more and more we engage in that process, the more we realize the sovereignty that we have as a people. So in saying that, Senator, because of that sovereignty, in the early courts, our oral history was excluded as vital testimony. So in saying that, that is why we're saying nobody speaks on our behalf, no other organization, and then, the generations to come will realize who they are as Treaty 8 nations and the sovereignty that they have. Thank you.
Chief, time has expired.
Thank you.